On a bustling city street, Jack found himself at a crossroads in life, both literally and figuratively. He had always been drawn to existentialist ideas, particularly Sartre's assertion that we are condemned to be free. This notion of absolute freedom, however, often left Jack feeling overwhelmed and anxious. The weight of endless choices loomed over him like a storm cloud. One afternoon, Jack stumbled upon a podcast about Stoicism and was struck by Marcus Aurelius's insight. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. This resonated deeply with Jack. He realized that while freedom was daunting, it was also an opportunity to forge a path aligned with his true self. Jack decided to shift his perspective. Instead of viewing freedom as a burden, he saw it as a gift to act in accordance with his values. This didn't mean ignoring his anxiety, but rather embracing it as an integral part of human experience. Through Stoic practice, Jack learned to focus on what he could control, his reactions and mindset. A practical situation arose when Jack was offered a new job in a different city. Previously, this would have caused a spiral of anxiety about leaving his comfort zone. But with his newfound Stoic approach, Jack chose to embrace the challenge, focusing on the growth and learning opportunities ahead. He discovered that when balanced with Stoic wisdom, freedom and responsibility could lead to peace rather than anxiety. Welcome to our channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, now is the perfect time to join us. And don't forget to head to the comments and write, "I seek knowledge." This really helps our channel grow and reach more people with similar interests to yours. Lesson 1. Turn mistakes into wisdom. In the dance of existence, we often find ourselves caught in the tension between choices and consequences. Jean-Paul Sartre spoke of the anguish that freedom bestows upon us, a weighty realization that we alone are responsible for our paths. This freedom, while exhilarating, can also be paralyzing, as every decision shapes our destiny. But what if this anguish isn't a burden, but a compass? Stoicism, with its ancient wisdom, invites us to embrace this very anguish. It teaches that our power lies not in the external circumstances we face, but in our response to them. By accepting the discomfort of choice, we transform fear into clarity. We learn to navigate life's complexities with courage, viewing them as opportunities for growth. So, instead of fearing the freedom that leads to anguish, let us welcome it. This is not a relentless storm, but a guiding light, illuminating the path to a life of purpose and resilience. Lesson 2. Embrace the burden of choice. Living with freedom can be daunting. Jean-Paul Sartre reminds us that with freedom comes the weight of making choices, and this brings about an inherent sense of anguish. Instead of viewing this anguish as a burden, we should see it as a guide. It's a reminder of our power to shape our lives. By embracing this responsibility, we engage more deeply with our existence. The Stoics offer a practical approach to this existential challenge. They teach us to focus on what is within our control and accept what is not. This acceptance doesn't mean resignation, but understanding that true peace comes from aligning our actions with our values. By doing so, we transform the anxiety of choice into purposeful action. Embrace the discomfort that freedom brings. Let it lead you to deliberate choices and a life marked by intention. In this, we find not only solace, but strength. The journey may be challenging, but it's also profoundly liberating. Lesson 3. Control your reaction. In a world where choices abound, the weight of freedom can feel overwhelming. Jean-Paul Sartre famously described freedom as a source of anguish, a haunting reminder that we are the architects of our own lives. This existential freedom, while daunting, is not a curse but a profound opportunity. The Stoics teach us to embrace this discomfort, not by seeking to eliminate it, but by understanding it as a natural part of life. Imagine standing at a crossroads, each path leading to an unknown future. The fear of making the wrong choice can paralyze us, yet the Stoic way encourages us to see this fear as a compass, pointing us towards self-awareness and growth. By accepting that every decision carries uncertainty, we empower ourselves to act with courage and clarity. So when faced with the anxiety of freedom, remember it's not a burden but a guide. Embrace it, learn from it, and let it illuminate your path. Lesson 4. Master your perspective. In our quest for meaning, we often stumble upon the unsettling truth that freedom brings with it an intrinsic weight, anguish. Sartre illuminated this reality, showing that with limitless choices comes a profound responsibility. It's in this space of decision-making that we find ourselves paralyzed, fearing the consequences of our own freedom. Yet what if we could transform this fear into guidance? The Stoics, with their timeless wisdom, suggest embracing anguish as a natural part of our human condition. Instead of viewing it as a burden, we can see it as a compass, directing us towards deliberate and intentional living. By accepting that uncertainty and doubt are companions on our journey, we shift our focus from fear to understanding. This shift in perspective empowers us. We begin to see anguish not as a hindrance, but as an opportunity to exercise our inner strength and resilience. Embracing our freedom, we become architects of our own lives, crafting a path defined by purpose and clarity. Lesson 5. Depend less on external factors. In moments of deep reflection, I've come to understand that the feeling of anguish is a natural companion to our freedom. Sartre, the renowned philosopher, described this freedom as both a gift and a weight, a duality that can be overwhelming. Yet in this tension lies a profound opportunity. The Stoics teach us that accepting this anguish is not a sign of weakness, but a powerful acknowledgement of our human condition. When we embrace this discomfort, it becomes a guide, illuminating the choices that shape our lives. Instead of viewing anguish as a burden, we can see it as a compass, directing us toward paths of growth and self-discovery. The Stoics remind us that while we cannot control external events, we have power over our responses. By accepting the inherent unease of freedom, we step closer to living intentionally, crafting a life aligned with our values and aspirations. Lesson 6. Always reinvent yourself. The profound experience of freedom can often feel like standing at the edge of a vast, open sea. Jean-Paul Sartre spoke of this freedom as an overwhelming responsibility, a weight that sometimes manifests as existential angst. Yet what if this very angst is not a burden, but a guide? The Stoics, wise in their approach to human emotion, teach us to embrace rather than evade this discomfort. Anguish, in its raw form, is a signal of the boundless possibilities that freedom presents. The Stoic philosophy encourages us to perceive this as a call to action, a reminder to align our choices with our true nature and values. By accepting that our decisions shape our reality, we transform angst into empowerment. Thus, the journey of life is not about escaping the waves of anxiety, but learning to navigate them with grace. Embrace your freedom and let the guidance of your inner turmoil lead you towards a path of purpose and resilience. Lesson 7. Prioritize your authenticity. In our journey through life, the idea of freedom often presents itself as both a gift and a burden. Jean-Paul Sartre, the existential philosopher, famously noted that with great freedom comes profound anguish. This discomfort arises because freedom demands choice, and every choice carries the weight of responsibility. Rather than viewing this anguish as a paralyzing force, the Stoics offer a different perspective. See it as a guide. The Stoics teach us that accepting the inevitability of discomfort is crucial. By embracing the discomfort that comes with freedom, we cultivate resilience. This resilience is not about avoiding pain or fear, but about understanding that these emotions are natural companions in our quest for authenticity. In this light, anguish becomes a teacher, showing us what truly matters and urging us to align our actions with our values. So as we navigate the complexities of life, let's remember that the discomfort we feel is not a barrier but a signpost. It points us towards growth and deeper understanding. By accepting this, we transform anguish from a burden into a powerful catalyst for personal evolution. Lesson 8. Face the weight of choice. In our quest for meaning, we often encounter the profound insight of Jean-Paul Sartre that with freedom comes an inherent sense of anguish. This isn't a flaw in human design, but a testament to the weight of our choices. Every decision we make, every path we dare to tread, is both a liberation and a tethering to responsibility. For Sartre, this anguish is not something to be shunned, but embraced as a sign of our true autonomy. Stoicism, an ancient philosophy, invites us to see this burden not as a curse, but as a compass. By accepting the things we cannot control and focusing on our own actions, we learn to navigate the sea of freedom with equanimity. The Stoics teach us that the turmoil of choice is not our enemy, but a teacher guiding us to inner peace. Embrace the discomfort of freedom. Let it steer you towards a life of purpose, anchored in wisdom and courage. Lesson 9. Harmonize reason and emotion. Freedom, a powerful and intoxicating concept, often brings with it an unexpected companion: anguish. Jean-Paul Sartre eloquently described this as the weight of responsibility that comes with absolute freedom. We are free to choose, yet this very freedom can overwhelm us, as each choice shapes not only our own destiny but potentially that of others. The existential dread stems from knowing there is no one else to blame, no divine blueprint to follow. Here the Stoics offer a guiding hand. They teach us to embrace this anguish not as a burden but as a natural consequence of our autonomy. By accepting it, we gain clarity. Through rational understanding and emotional resilience, we learn to focus on what is within our control, relinquishing the rest. This mindset transforms anguish into a compass, guiding us through the stormy seas of life with purpose and tranquility. Thus, rather than fear our freedom, we should accept its inherent challenges, using them as stepping stones towards a more meaningful existence. Lesson 10. Understand the losses. Freedom often brings an unexpected companion: anguish. Jean-Paul Sartre believed that with the infinite possibilities of choice comes the weight of responsibility, a burden that can paralyze. Yet I've discovered something powerful within this existential tension. The Stoics, those wise philosophers of ancient times, teach us that this very anguish is not a burden but a guide. They remind us that while we cannot control external events, we can govern our responses, finding tranquility amidst chaos. Imagine seeing anguish not as a shadow looming over your freedom, but as a beacon, illuminating the path to wisdom. It nudges us to ponder deeply about our actions, to align them with our true values. This shift in perspective transforms anguish from a source of fear into a catalyst for growth. As we embrace this Stoic lesson, we learn to welcome the discomfort of choice. In doing so, we cultivate resilience, turning the weight of freedom into a liberating force. Lesson 11. Respect your conscience. In moments of deep reflection, I've realized that freedom is a double-edged sword. Jean-Paul Sartre spoke of freedom as a source of existential angst. The weight of making choices, of carving our paths, can be overwhelming. Yet what if this very angst is not our enemy but a guide? The Stoics teach us that while we cannot control external circumstances, we can control how we perceive and respond to them. Embracing this perspective, we understand that angst is inherent to our freedom. It is the compass pointing us toward authenticity. Instead of fearing it, we should welcome it as a reminder of our power to choose. The Stoic philosophy invites us to see freedom not as a burden, but as a profound opportunity to align with our true nature. Thus, by accepting angst as a natural part of being free, we transform it into a catalyst for growth. This shift in mindset empowers us, turning potential despair into a path of self-discovery and resilience. Lesson 12. Embrace the unknown. In the vast tapestry of human emotions, few are as profound and unsettling as anguish. Sartre tells us that this anguish is not an enemy but a companion to our freedom. Imagine standing at a crossroads, each path shrouded in uncertainty, yet each choice undeniably yours. This is the essence of our existential freedom, a boundless opportunity but also a source of deep unease. The Stoics, with their calm and steady wisdom, offer a lantern to guide us through this fog. They remind us that while we cannot control every path's outcome, we can govern our response to it. Embracing anguish as a guiding force, not a crippling burden, transforms our experience of freedom. It becomes a teacher, urging us to act with intention and clarity. Thus, accepting anguish is not about succumbing to despair. It's about recognizing it as an integral part of our freedom, a catalyst for growth and resilience. Lesson 13. Focus on the present. In our journey through life, there's a profound realization that freedom, while empowering, brings with it an inherent sense of anxiety. Jean-Paul Sartre captured this beautifully, reminding us that with every choice we face, we also confront the weight of responsibility. This is where the wisdom of Stoicism gently enters. The Stoics teach us to embrace this anxiety as a natural companion to our freedom, guiding rather than burdening us. Instead of perceiving this existential angst as a paralyzing force, Stoicism encourages us to see it as a compass. It's a signal that we're alive, making conscious choices that shape our future. By accepting the discomfort of uncertainty, we gain clarity in our decisions, aligning them with our true values and intentions. So embrace the tension of your choices. Let it be a reminder of your power to forge your own path. In accepting this, we find not only peace, but a deeper connection to our own essence. Lesson 14. Reject the shutdown. Freedom, as Sartre once explored, is a paradoxical gift. It liberates and burdens us with the responsibility of choice. This weight often manifests as existential angst, a companion in our journey. The Stoics, with their profound wisdom, invite us to embrace this angst not as a burden, but as a guiding star. By accepting it, we transform our fear into a tool for growth, allowing us to navigate life's uncertainties with grace. In a world where every decision shapes our destiny, the Stoic path encourages us to focus on what lies within our control, relinquishing the illusion of certainty. This perspective redefines our relationship with freedom, turning the anxiety of choice into a catalyst for self-discovery. It is through this acceptance that we find clarity and strength. Embrace your freedom and its inherent angst. Let it guide you toward a life of purpose and resilience. Subscribe, like, and share to deepen your philosophical journey. Lesson 15. Transform fear into learning. In a Stoic reflection, anguish is not an enemy, but an inevitable companion of freedom. When Jean-Paul Sartre speaks to us about anguish, he reminds us that freedom is a heavy burden. This raises the question, how can we experience this freedom without being crushed by it? The answer might lie at the heart of Stoicism. Accepting anguish as a natural part of life frees us from paralyzing fear. Instead of running away, we must embrace it as a compass guiding us toward authentic decisions. Stoic wisdom teaches us to focus on what we can control and accept what we cannot. Anguish, then, is not a burden, but a sign that we are on the path to true freedom. With this understanding, what once seemed like a prison transforms into a journey of self-discovery and growth. By breaking free from the chains of fear, we fully embrace life, realizing that true freedom is not the absence of anguish, but the courage to face it. If you see some videos popping up on your screen right now, great. They're your next step. If they haven't appeared yet, stay tuned. These videos are completely focused on your learning journey. When they show up, click on them and watch.